Hello and welcome to another episode of Born to Win. My name is Barbara Allen and today we're going to be talking about psychotherapy, the role of a psychotherapist. What do you expect when you go to see a psychotherapist? My guest today is Carole Miles, who's a psychotherapist. She has her own private practice and she's been practicing for 15 years. Please welcome to the show, Carole Miles.
Hello, hi.
Hi, pleased to meet you.
Pleased to meet you too.
Carole, mental illness. What is mental illness?
Mental illness takes a variety of shapes. The most basic form is situational, where someone is in a situation where they find themselves being bullied, stressed, anything like that, and they suffer from depression, anxiety, etc.
Carole, why do people suffer from mental illness?
People suffer from mental illness for a lot of situations. It could be situational, like they're being bullied, there's been a bereavement.
So life challenges in itself,
yes.
a bereavement in the family, children going off to school.
That's right.
Children going off to university, even your younger.
Financial stresses, things that may have happened to them in the past that haven't quite gotten over. They're still struggling with that. Sometimes people suppress what's happened to them and they kind of force themselves to get on with their lives. So actually this thing is still, they're still carrying this and it's still affecting their decisions and how they live today.
Wow. So in a sense, Carole, anybody could be in a situation where they're suffering from mental illness because they haven't dealt with a particular challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. Mental illness is very, very common. At some point, you know someone that has some kind of mental illness. Stress or depression, anxiety are very, very common. And most people throughout their lives will experience a bout of one of them. So it's so very common.
Very common. Okay, what are the traits? What are the traits of mental illness?
Well, it depends. You can have mental illness where you're completely disassociated from reality, when you're behaving and interacting in a way that is not congruous to the reality of the situation. Like you're talking to things that are not there, you're behaving as if you're on fire. I mean, that's the kind of extreme end to where you can't quite sleep at night. And you wake up and you're like, oh, I feel sick, and you're a bit fretty. So it's kind of really from the very, very vast umbrella term to cover basically the human condition.
So, because I know some people that have gone, have mental illness problems, they would tend like to not want to socialize or just stay in their bedroom, not want to talk. Some people, as you said, the extreme would be like maybe also not washing themselves. That's one of the classic signs of depression. Not taking care of themselves, not being able to eat properly or eating too much, sleeping irregularly, sleeping too much or sleeping too little, not talking to people that they would normally talk to, withdrawing from life a bit, not feeling energetic enough to do the things that they would normally do. So their functioning drops down, and this can cause problems to that individual. What about not, just all of a sudden not wanting to go to work and that they're a person that works all the time?
Yeah, and it might feel like all of a sudden, but actually there's been a long build up. There have been signs that this is coming.
Right.
So some people have anxiety and they kind of manage it manage it well or manage it poorly. Managing it well would be going to see a therapist or, going to see your GP. Managing it badly would be like drinking.
Right.
Or pretending it's not happening, not talking about it. It then gets bigger and bigger and worse until before you know it, you stop functioning.
Right.
So what people tend to do, they keep soldiering on.
Right.
Until it gets so bad that actually they have a mental breakdown.
Right. So that is when, as you're saying, that it really becomes too much. Whatever they've been trying to hold down is bursting inside of them, and that is when they actually lose it.
They lose it.
And
Unfortunately that could have consequences for themselves, losing their jobs, losing your confidence about what you believe about yourself, consequences in relationships, family members, etc., your friendships, all those kinds of things can break down because you're inside, you're suffering, you're behaving differently, and your friends and your family don't understand why that is.
Right.
So it's a very isolating situation. And it takes someone with a lot of courage to begin to kind of reach out of that dark place to say, actually, I need help.
So would you say that you could be in that place and don't even know?
You could be in that place and not know that you're depressed, or you could be in that place and not know that it's got a name. But you will definitely know that something's not right. Something doesn't sit well with you. And I like to say dis-ease. When you're at dis-ease with yourself, not comfortable with yourself, then you know that something's wrong, even though you might not know what it's called.
Right. So so the gut feeling.
Yeah.
Your
gut feeling would tell you, and often people around you would sort of like maybe make hints or comments,
right,
and say, look, you're not well, are you? They might, but you could ignore those, of course, but. There are often clues around the people that care about you might mention things, so you might be able to pick up on that you're not hiding it as well as you thought you were.
Right. So it is important to take heed of what people say.
Yes, it really is, to notice what people are saying.
Carole, can people work things out themselves?
Yeah, often people can work things out for themselves, and they can, come to an understanding around what's happening for them. And maybe if it's situational, for example, like they're feeling depressed because of their job, and they work that out because sometimes it's not obvious, and they work that out as the job.
Right.
So they change the job, and suddenly they feel better, and they can get on with their lives. But it's not the case. It's mostly not as simple as that for most people.
Is there a stigma around going to a psychotherapist?
I think there was in the past much more of a stigma since shows like Oprah Winfrey and things like that.
Yeah.
People are more open and accepting about going to seek professional help about what's going on for their emotional state.
Is it, being a psychotherapist, is it easy to talk to a psychotherapist? Because this is somebody you don't know anything about. You're going into an office, you don't know anything about this person. Are they going to judge you? Are they going to...
What's that like? Well, I know from going to a therapist what's that like, and I know for me it's really important that you make sure that the client feels comfortable and that they understand confidentiality, where the information is going to go, not going to go, and the limits of that confidentiality. And I always like to say to people that this is your space. It's a very unique space that most people never experienced in their lives, and it's me that's coming on a journey with you because you are the expert on your life, and I'm here to kind of walk through with you to explore what's going on and to find solutions that would work for you.
Oh, that's interesting. So you're saying that you actually work with the person in finding out their own solution. Absolutely.
Otherwise, they could just pick up a book and just say follow these instructions to happiness. If there was such a book, that'd be wonderful. But for each person, it's absolutely individual.
That's quite important.
It's very individual for each person. How they relate to the world, how they see the world is very unique to them. So as a psychotherapist, you're trained to kind of support them in getting some insight, raising the unconscious processes so that they're more conscious, so that they can make conscious decisions about where their life is going, what they're doing. And
so it's not you, because some people think, well, I'll go to a counsellor, psychotherapist, and they'll tell me what to do. And is that not the case?
No, it's really not, and I think it's not. Because it's so easy to tell people what to do. People will tell themselves what to do all the time.
Right.
It doesn't work. Mostly it doesn't work. So it's not like that at all. It's a collaborative journey that we take together. Although I'm a professional, and I have an understanding of the mental processes, I have an understanding of trauma, I have an understanding of depression, and you know, I have an insight on how to talk to someone, ask the appropriate questions, to support them to get their own insights. Because when people get their own insights, that's when they work.
Right.
That's when change is happening. One of the most important things about no matter which therapy you might go for, and there's a few different ones, what's important is the relationship. If you don't feel comfortable with your therapist, it doesn't matter what they're offering you. So it's really important that when you go to seek therapy, that you are comfortable with that person.
I think we spoke to the last program we did on mental health, which you know, the gentleman was saying he didn't feel a connection with the counsellor.
That's right. So I would shop around. You know, most counsellors, and I do as a therapist, offer a 15-minute free consultation, so that person can get an feel of who they're talking to, what they're like, can they be heard, and if they feel comfortable, they go on to then book an initial appointment, and in that time, by the end of that, they'll know, okay, this is the person that I can work with, or no, this is not the person I can work with, and they look elsewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
The 15-minute consultation, is that over the phone, or do you go and see them?
That's on the phone normally for me. And they can pop into the office if I got time. They can come and see me at my office. But it's just for them to kind of get a sense. Do they want to book that first appointment? Because I know how frightening it is for people and how scary it is. And they think that they're sitting in front of them that knows everything. No, we don't. You are the expert on your own life.
Right. So it's a collaboration. You work together.
Very much a collaboration.
Well, thank you so much for that, Carole. I know, we're going to talk a lot more about psychotherapy and finding a good counsellor and lots of other things we're going to talk about. So, viewers, grab yourself a drink once again. Don't go anywhere. Come straight back because, as I said, informative, educational, and this will help you. Welcome back to Born to Win. Today we have Carole Miles that will be talking to us about psychotherapy stroke counsellor. She'll be asking the questions that you've always been asking. What's the benefits of going to a counsellor? I don't need to go to a counsellor. Carole.
Hello.
Hi. When should a person go to counselling?
Okay, so if a person breaks their leg, they know automatically they've got to go, right?
Of course.
To a doctor.
Of course.
When it comes to mental health, it's a bit more subtle. So if you know yourself as what you are normally, and suddenly your behaviours change, your outlook changes, then maybe it's time to sort of seek some help. So some of the signs you look for, as I may have mentioned earlier, is that sleeping's changed. Your eating's changed. You're not coping as well. You're withdrawing from your friends and your family and etc. You're having mood swings.
Right. So somebody that was really calm and all of a sudden they're shouting, slamming doors.
That's right. They're behaving strangely. Someone that's maybe having some issues about beliefs about themselves. Maybe they hear themselves with some really negative self-talk.
Right.
Suicidal ideation. Thinking about maybe harming themselves or cutting themselves. They could be just fleeting thoughts, but they're all on the spectrum. Like actually, they're not healthy thoughts. Maybe I need to get some support with them.
So basically, it's not really. It's about not taking things lightly. Once you see your behaviour changes, you may need to seek counselling.
Definitely,
somebody else to talk things over with.
If you're not feeling happy or feeling a bit more down than normal, then, maybe speak to someone. And if it's like on a very mild level, then speak to a friend, reach out to someone.
Yeah.
Just don't suffer in silence. If it's more than that, then, go and seek therapeutic help and support from someone.
Right. So you can go to a friend and talk about problems, or a trusted friend.
A trusted friend.
Yeah.
would be a good starting point.
Right.
Because
okay.
if you trust them, they will give you like, wow, I have noticed that you've been flying into these rages. I don't know why, etc. Maybe you should go and see someone.
Right. So a good friend will tell you the truth.
A good friend will tell you the truth.
Right. Okay. How does society view counselling?
Society. Well, I can't really speak for society, but I know that nowadays a lot more people are engaging in therapeutic processes. Like a lot of people are going to counselling. There's charities that set up that offer counselling. There's a lot of private individuals offering. You can get counselling on the NHS. Employers tend to have employee assistant programs which offer counselling. So I think it's people are very aware of counselling. It is available, but obviously there is a stigma around counselling, and people don't think that it's for them. People think that if I go counselling, it means that I'm admitting that I'm mad.
Right. So there's a whole thing about madness.
Yeah, there's a whole thing about madness, that people are shy about going to seek help and sometimes suffer for far longer than they need to.
Because of the stigma.
Because of the stigma, yeah.
Can you volunteer? All right, somebody that's, we see people talking to themselves on the street, sometimes they're not dressed appropriate. What's actually gone on with them? Why have they got to that state?
It's obviously they've got into, if they're sort of like roaming around the streets talking and like not dressing appropriately, they're in some kind of deep mental distress.
Right.
So with someone like that, probably they'll continue walking around and behaving like that until they do something that endangers themselves or endangers others. And it's that point where services get involved, and someone could be then committed.
Right. So is that the time when they will be sectioned?
Yes, they can get sectioned at that point. But walking around being dirty, talking to yourself is not something that will get you sectioned.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
So it has to be more. It has to be more serious than that, where you're endangering yourself or endangering someone else.
Right. Okay.
Through your behaviour, through your delusional thinking that you're going to do that. In that case, you probably do something outrageous, and the police will be called, and mental health services will be involved. They'll look at your case, and sometimes people can, at that point, volunteer to go into hospital.
Right.
If they're aware enough, they can volunteer to go into hospital. But if they're not, then they will just go under a simple section.
Right. Going to your doctors. And talking something over with them, and they refer you to a psychotherapist stroke counsellor. Does that go on your file? Does it go on your records?
Yeah, if you go to a doctor, if you report anything to your doctor, it will go on your file. However, those files are confidential, and you shouldn't worry about them getting into the wrong hands, but they will go on your record.
Right. What about in terms of, because I know it's, certain jobs, they need to know, have you had mental illness and things like that. Would it go against you?
It depends on what the job is, depending on why they need that information.
Right.
Most people have suffered some depression in their lives, and it doesn't affect anything.
Right. So it's quite normal in a sense. It's
very normal. People, I know people are very worried about this going on my record. And like for most people, 99.99% of people, it's not going to interfere with their career or anything like that.
So there should really be no worry around that.
There should really be no worry at all about things like that.
Are people of colour treated in a different way? Because I have spoken to people, and they have said, well, when they go to the doctors, they're offered antidepressants instead of talking therapy or,
There is good research out there that definitely indicate that you're more likely to be diagnosed with a mental health illness, which means that you're labelled for life. You're more likely to be sectioned.
Wow.
And if you come into the mental health services as a person of colour, you're more likely to have a less successful outcome.
Wow.
In your treatment. So it's definitely, there definitely is an issue around mental health and being of colour.
Carole, how important is mental well-being?
It's really important to look after your health. By the time you come to a psychotherapist or a counsellor, your health is as dipped a little bit regarding mental health. So to look after your health, your mental being, like you look after your body, you look after your life, you look after your job, you need to look after your mental health as well. This means doing meditation, spending time with good people, going for walks, exercise, anything that you enjoy. Make sure you do something you enjoy in your life. That's something that's just about you. If you like to draw, paint, write poetry, being creative is a really important element of keeping yourself mentally well.
That's interesting. So even things like even maybe playing your favourite instrument, or even singing and
swimming, anything like that. It's just about making sure there's enough pleasure in your life.
Right, okay.
And what brings you pleasure. Because our lives are very, very hectic. We've got jobs, children, all kinds of commitments to do, and we often forget about ourselves.
Right.
And when we do that, then we are really opening the gate for mental illness to creep in.
So it's important to have a balance, isn't it?
Really important. Really important to have a balance in your life.
So about looking after yourself, not just doing the mundane things that we tend to do.
Yeah.
And take care of yourself and do the things you enjoy.
Yeah. People are so selfless,
right,
and they sacrifice and they give to their children, their families and their communities. And, they just give out energy all the time, which is great, except that energy is not, you're not a nuclear battery, and you will deplete yourself. And in that depletion, there'll be tiredness, grumpiness, resentment, and also when you don't see that energy coming back, there's resentment builds up there. So it's really important that even though you have a busy life, that you find some space for yourself to do the things that you really like and enjoy. It's not just about you.
Right.
Just about your needs.
And not feeling guilty about it.
And not feeling guilty about it.
Carole, the difference with males and females. Females, we tend to talk. We enjoy talking. We get so much from talking. We talk to our, we could meet somebody in the hairdressers and we're telling them our life story.
That's right. We have a good old natter.
They say that women have so many words. I can't remember the figure, but it's a long list. I don't know how many thousands, and men only have so many words. So we tend to get it out a lot more. In terms of men, they tend to talk around things, and they don't really hit what the problem is, or they're not direct. How different is it than them talking to their friends and going to a counsellor?
Well, it's very, very different, and it's good that they can talk to their friends. I think I'm always an advocate of talking to your friends and using your community to get support. But there is a massive difference between talking to your friends about your problems and talking to a therapist. For one, there's very clear boundaries in the relationship. Right. Whatever you say is confidential. It doesn't go anywhere else. It's not going to be used to throw back in your face.
Right.
When you and your friend are having some argument, they're not going to throw it back in your face. Also, you can trust that what you say, you can say whatever you want without feeling that you're going to be impacting the psychotherapist. Or with your friend, when you're talking to them, you're considering their feelings, you're considering what they're going to do with this information, you're considering the ramifications of that. So so that often stops you from sharing as much as you would like to.
Right. So in actual fact, you're also trained in a particular way, aren't you?
Yeah.
In order to hold people's information and help them through it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the things that they might say to me that may be shocking, or tell secrets or speak unspeakable things, they can do that with a therapist. They can't do that with a friend. And also, as a therapist, I would know what to do with that information. I would know how to hold that information for them and help them to look at it and understand it and get a different perspective on the information that they've given without using it against them.
Right. So there is a vast difference.
There's a vast difference
in going to a counsellor.
Very much so.
Viewers, psychotherapy stroke counselling. The stigma is just a myth. It's very, very important that if you're going through something, it's very important to actually talk to someone. Talk to a professional. Talk to someone that can help work things through with you. It may sound like a daunting place, but believe me, it isn't a daunting place. I've been there, and I've actually sought counselling that has changed my life around. So viewers, don't be frightened, especially males. Go out there, talk about your challenges, talk to someone. They don't know you, and they are trained in a certain way, as Carole said, in order to hold your information. They're not going to look down on you. They're not going to belittle you. They're not going to judge you, but they're there to help you. So use the resources out there. So it's very important that we need people, you know, in order for us to have a mental well-being. People work together, we share together. So work with people, work with the professionals in order for you to get a win-win situation. Thank you so much for coming, Carole. You've really enlightened us about psychotherapy stroke counselling. You've given us so much information. I'm sure viewers have really taken a lot from this. Thank you so much for coming.
You're very welcome.
My name is Barbara Allen, and thank you for watching Born to Win. As we always say every week, the telephone number is on the front of the screen. If you want to speak to anybody concerning the issues that we've talked about today, please feel free to phone us. We'll be happy to pick up the phone and help you with your challenges. Thank you for watching, and see you next week.